Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good wherever you are. JP here at Websites for Beginners, and this is Divi, Reconstructed, episode 2. And we'll be making this hero banner at the top, similar to the previous one we made, but we'll bring in a few more things. And we will look at how in Divi you achieve this all the way to the left effect, and not that the text spreads all the way across center aligned like we did in the previous one. I see that I've added some crazy animation here to the button. If I remember to go into that, I'll show you a little bit how you do that with Transform. It's highly unnecessary, usually only useful if you are doing it on a desktop because you don't have this kind of hover effect yet when it comes to mobile devices. And you can see this one tends to lose its head if I don't hover very well over it. The other thing we've added here are also shape dividers or section dividers at the top and the bottom. And then I'm going to switch it over into the stunning marketing image for a hair salon. As we look at this image, I want you to understand what we are aiming for. We have an image here on the right. This is our focus point with this product or service that we are selling. And because it's so bright, we need a dark balance on the left so that we can get our text to pop out. This means that we have to make sure that our left remains dark, but at the same time, it also means another thing. It means that we need this text to only be left. So you're on the left, and you can imagine, where is my drawer? If this is our width area for our canvas, like so, what you observe is that all of this content is only in around 50 to 60% of it. How do we achieve that? And each page builder does this very differently. And secondly, each of them has more than one way it can be achieved. There are some good practices and bad practices, and there are some personal preferences. So I really appreciate every time I get some feedback, why don't you do this or why don't you do that? We are trying to make it as convenient as possible for beginners to learn. So some of the features, sometimes like clamping, way too complicated at this point. So what I show here are ways that you can achieve it. And often, there was a traditional way, there are new modern ways. But I want to stress this because Divi is a little bit snaggy in this regard, where many newer page builders have more flexibility here. Divi brings in some things that are going to confuse you. And I just want to point that out at this very moment because I will address that while we are building it out. I'll keep this here for reference. Let's go into Divi. There's an update. Let's see what's the update all about. Divi. Okay. It's been some time. I haven't updated this specific one, but no problem. And then let's get the update in, create a new page. Pages, add new. And we will call this new page Recon 02 because it's Reconstructed episode 2. Go there, Recon 02. And before I publish over here on the page attributes, because we're just using this as a demo, I'm going to choose blank page. That will give us no headers and no footers. And then we click here on Use Divi Builder. And often I think I didn't click on it because for some reason, going into the Divi Builder from the page, there is some time it needs to think. Not sure why it takes that long. We are greeted by this familiar screen. Every time you start with a new blank page, it's going to ask you from scratch, pre-made layout, or clone an existing page. Nice feature, clone existing page, especially if you're working on blogs and you have a style and a format and a template that you are using, then you can just clone that and then just switch out the content. Great. We are working from scratch because we want to learn more about the builder. And this is here where I quickly want to stop because we have insert row. Click outside this and you will see, even though you've got insert row, your row, which is green, is already within a section, which is this blue part, right? Now, if you want to add a new section, you click here on the blue icon with the white plus. And here you're going to see you get 3 types of sections. Now, this is similar to walking in the forest and you find a dinosaur bone. It's like, whoa, what happened here? And when you go into it, it's a very exciting past and there's a lot of interesting things there. and then you have Jurassic Park that revives the dinosaur. It still can function in today's world, but it causes a lot of havoc. It's not entirely true for this, but I want to make the point that Divi is a workhorse that has been around for a long time, and as such, it has carried over a lot of things from the past that it implemented in the past to solve problems, which today can be done in better ways or are not needed. If you are any Photoshop or, these old system and app users, you will know what I'm talking about. You get new programs like Affinity Photo that comes out and it's just clean. It looks beautiful. But in Photoshop, you're like, everything is so crowded. But dare remove one of those features and you have the old timers and the people that are used to it, they will throw a little fit and all their toys out of the cart over that. So I want to stress this because if we look at the demo, this is often referred to in the traditional sense of the word in Divi as a full width section. So I'll open this, but I'm not going to be working with a full width section because I find it too limiting. The full width sections in Divi has specific modules designed that will make the full width section great. So for example, this kind of hero banner is traditionally created in Divi with a full width header. And if I click on it, it's going to give me, you see there's a title, there's some script, and there's a button. So just understand how this works. Your title goes here. So let's leave that, or let's call this my main heading. And then subtitle, we're going to call this a few words in the sub so that we understand it. And then we have a button. And nicely enough, Divi had been nice to give us two buttons next to each other. So we can say button number 2. And all of this, here is your subheading text. You have images, you have your background. You can change all of this out. So if I bring in a background image, let's add a background. And the one that we will be using for this, drag and drop. And then upload an image, right? So you see how quickly we're getting there. I've not brought in the context, but this preset full width section in Divi allows you to quickly create something that looks like this. Now remember, I wanted all of this to be on the left. If I go to design, sizing, I have your content width. And as I drag it down, let's bring it down to around 60. You see the text here has moved. Let's bring it down a little bit more. There you can see. Super, right? Really, really easily done. And you will be very happy with it if this is how you want your content structured within this full width header module section in Divi. Why do I say that? The layout we have here, heading at the top, subtitle below it, content and buttons. There's no way you can rearrange this. There's no way you can bring in extra elements within this. This is a done deal, baby. You see there's no area inside here where you can click to bring in another module. So if you were to decide to bring in an icon somewhere here, you're out of luck. If you were to decide to bring in some more text, guess what? You're out of luck. If you decide to take this subtitle and move it as an above title like we do here, yes, you guessed it, we're out of luck. But I don't want to undermine the functionality and practicality of this full width section and full width header settings. I just want you to understand this is something that comes from the past in Divi. It's limited, it's still very useful, but in most cases, when you're going to try and build something out, you're going to want to have a little bit more control over that. And here is where Divi is a little strange. Remember, I went here to design, content width, and I just changed the content here like so very easily. And I still had the spacer on the left and the right. You are going to observe that that is not going to be the case when we build it from scratch. So whereas this is super easy, very intuitive to implement, when you build it out manually by yourself like this, you will have to work with something like maximum width or width of the element. And I'll show you how to do that. It's not the end of the world, but it's also good to learn these things because in the modern era we are in, it's good to know where these things are. Right, so that is a very, very long intro. And this intro is all about the different sections that you get within Divi. Regular, specialty, which gives you these column breaks and different kinds of placements of rows. And then if we go again, full width, these ones that I just showed you, which are presets, pre-created blocks and sets for full width sections. I want to stress though, that no new page builder is set up like this. And no one in their right mind will create a new product that's like this. This is archaic. This comes from Divi's past. It's not a good idea to remove it because you will have many people unhappy with it. Let's delete everything that we've got here on the page. So we go to the first one and you will see the difference between the regular section and this full width section is the color of the section. This one is blue, this one is purple. And let's just bring in another section for specialty. Let's just choose this one over here. Click outside and you will see that one is orange. And remember, if you want to see a nice wireframe overview of everything on your page, go here to the bottoms at the bottom, all the way here to the 3 dots, and then make sure that this one here is selected. And then it will appear here and you can just activate it. So you can see we have 4 sections. We have a regular, 2 full width, and 1 specialty. I'll delete all of them. Let's start from new. And the moment I delete this, it's going to tell me, nope, this one we're not going to delete. There must be a minimum of 1 on this page. And you need to choose what you want in here. You need to choose if you want to have 1 column or 2 columns or 3 columns. Now, what I would have levitated towards is to click here on the 2 columns and then bring in content here on the left and then just drag this slider and set the width of these columns. Guess what? This is not going to work, right? Not with the default that we have here. Actually, there are many plugins on the market for Divi that can allow you to give you more control over the columns. But that's not how we're going to be achieving this. Let's go again. We delete this and we just choose the 1 column. Yes, just the 1 column. And what we want to bring in is text, text, line, text, and then over here, the button. So let's do that. First, I'll look for our text and anything that is a heading or just a paragraph is text. I'll accept it. Bring in another one over there. I'll duplicate this one because we're going to use more text. And now click here on that plus. Can I get to it? And look for a divider, which is the line. There's the divider. And then 1 more text. So again, I'll just go to this text element, duplicate it, and then drag it under the line. Oh, let's drag the line up instead. There we go. And then finally, we want to have a button. So whereas that full width section gave us all of this nicely already arranged, we're going to create all of this by ourselves. Good. Let's accept all of this. And then let's bring in text. So I'll just go to our loremipsum.io and grab some text from there. Make it very simple. Before we do anything else, let's change the background. So we do that within the section. Click on the section settings up here. Go to background and we're going to use a dark background for this. Let's go find one at coolers.co. And like you see this time, instead of having a specific color in mind, I'm just going to explore a little bit here and see what we can find in terms of the themes over here. I think I used this one previously, but let's look for something different just to jazz it up. Let's go for this one over here. So I have all these colors and all I need to do is click on the dark one and it gives me the hex code copied. Then I go back into Divi. Background is here. I click on add background and up in the box, Control-Command-V to paste the color. Simple. That was pretty quick. Good. So that's our background. We're done. Click accept. Let's go to the first text module. Click on the text module, select the text, and I'll type in lorem ipsum dollar because those are the first 3 words of lorem ipsum. I know them very well. Then I'll put this on heading 3. It's an above title and it disappears because there are styles already applied from the theme. Just to remind you, we're not going to look at all of those within the Reconstructed series. We are more primarily focused on the builder. In the full tutorials, I will show you how to set those global presets. Design. Let's go to heading text. And because we assigned this to a heading 3, we go to heading 3. And I think the first thing we need to do is change the color. But instead of white, let's grab this little baby soft blue, copy it. Let's go back to Recon and choose here, add color, and then type it in there. And there we go. Nicely done. Now we change the font. This one I'm going to use Work Sans. Type in Work Sans. Select that. Heading font weight. Regular is good. Then put it on uppercase. And let's move down here to the heading text size. Heading text size. I'll put it on 14. Letter spacing. We put in 1 pixel there to give it a little bit of that. And then the rest is fine. We're good. We're good with that. Next, we're going to go for our heading. For this, we use a little bit more text. So I'll go here to Lorem Ipsum, click on Generate. And then let's grab a few words here, something a little bit longer. Condimentum vitae sapien palette. Let's choose all of this, make it pretty long. And even add the full stop. Copy. Right, and first we have to close this one. Then we go to this one. Click on the cog for settings, select everything, Control-Command-V. Then I will designate this as a heading 2. Again, we don't see it because the heading 2 styles are brought in. Hop over to Design, heading text, H2, go through the whole process. Should have changed the color first, but doesn't matter. Let's put it on Work Sans and let's go change the color. We want to use the same adorable baby blue, but instead of adding that code again, simply go to Recent. And there is the baby blue. Click on that. That was easy. Back to heading font weight. So let's make this one a little bit thicker at semi-bold, also uppercase. And we'll increase the text size to 14. Let's scroll here. And I love just how Divi gives you the default value. You don't have to select it. You can just type in the new value. I love that. Really, really nicely done. Okay, so now I look at this, maybe too much text. So I'll just go back to content, text, and let's delete these last 2 words. Right, otherwise it becomes a little bit crazy. Design, go back to design, heading text, and let's have a look here at our heading 2 line height. It's currently set in 1M. This is always a problem. 1M is not a good idea if you know you're going to break it like I did here into 2 lines. 1M is perfect. You don't need more if it's just a 1-line heading. But if you're going to break that heading, you should look at around 1.2, 1.3. For now, I'm going to leave it on 1M so you can see what I'm talking about. Next, let's click on Select or OK. We select the line, so we click here on the More Settings. Show Divider. Yep, that's actually the whole point of it. And then just go to Design, select Line, and we change the color also to that baby blue. Select the Recent, baby blue, and then Solid. And you can choose the line top, vertically centered. Oh, this is just, it's within the box. So we just leave it at top. Next, sizing. Go to width, and I'll reduce it, and you will see it's in percentage. If you want 100 pixels, you just type in 100 px, and that will give you 100 pixels. Height is up here. Almost missed that divider height. Let's put in 5 pixels. Pretty thick line. And then we bring in text here. So let's accept this one. Click in here. Click on the settings and let's grab more paragraph, more text. Select all of that. Control-Command-V. And I'm going to leave this on paragraph. If you leave it on paragraph, go to Design and select Text. Text will apply to paragraph. And you see there's actually a little indicator. As I hover over text, because this is set to paragraph, you see that blue box appears there. Nice little indicator. Click on text and we do the same. We change the font to Work Sans. Why I don't see my recently used fonts up here? Usually that's there. Interesting. Work Sans. Great. Text font weight, we're going to put that on Let's leave it on regular. And we will then also put it on uppercase. Let's not put it on regular. Let's put it on light. Light is better. Color, also baby blue. There's too much blue in missing you. And the text size, 14. Text size, letter spacing. And you can see here the text line height is by default 1.7. Anything that runs into paragraphs, 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, depending on how big the text or how small it is, or, you know, if it's the font is easy to read. It also depends a lot on the type of font that you use. 1.7 here, perfect. So I'm not going to mess with this font. Let's select that and say we're good with it. And I'm just going to deselect this grid mode because so we can see better what's going on here. All in all, everything is there. We've got our content in. We just need to work on our button. So let's go style that out. Click on the settings of the button. Change the text first. View more. And then select link. URLs HTTPS. And I'll put in websites for beginners, w4b.io. Button link. And we want it to open in a new tab within our browser. So we say button link target in the new tab. Interesting. Alignment. This is going to put it for us in the center, to the right, to the left. We want it on the left. And then text. Nope, we're not going to mess with this. And then button. Yes, if you want to style the button, you have to activate it. Question. Why does Divi not allow us to just style it out from the beginning? Because how this is set up can be done within the theme. So the traditional way of how Divi did it and still does it is that you actually set up how this will look within the theme. Then you don't have to style it out each and every time. Again, I know we're going to look at that. We're doing everything manually for the Reconstructed series. We want to style this button, so select yes. And now we have all the features here that we need. Change the background color first. So we go here and then I'm going to choose, this is the one we used, right? Yeah, I think so. I'll choose this orange, copied. Go back, background here, add background color and paste that. And we should get the orange. So a few things we need to change. Button text color, let's go to recent, choose the baby blue. And now we will take away the border. Button border width by default at 2 pixels. I'll put it on 0, take away that border for us. And then button border radius, those rounded corners. If you want the rounded corners, no problem, leave it there. If you want it sharp, cuts like a knife, like I do, you make it a 0. And now you have a nice square little box there. Let's just go back to the top and make some changes to the button text size. I'll put this on 16. Then we go down. Button letter spacing on 1. Button font. Here's Work Sans. Strange. You know, the order here doesn't make sense to me because in everything else, the font starts first before you look at the text size. Here, the text size starts first, but I think it's more focused on the button than it is actually focused on the text here. The button font weight, we'll put this on medium. And then here, button font style, also put that on uppercase. Then I'll go to spacing, because I do think we need more padding at the top and on the right. So this is what I think of every page builder that we focus here on websites for beginners. Only Divi does this, where you have the top and the bottom linked, the left and the right linked within the editor. And this is so useful. I hardly ever link all 4, maybe just to put in a value at the very beginning and then make changes. But I really think this is so logic that this is how every page builder should be doing it. So when I don't see it, I'm so confused. Basic stuff. This is where Divi gets the 5-star rating for at least getting this right. And then of course the scrubbing feature here at the bottom. I'll go to my left and right and I'll give it lots of padding on the left and right. I'll put in 40 and then link it. And top and bottom, I'll give it 15. Also remember to link that. Great, so nice big button, easy for people to push it. Let's select yes and do some spacing and add negative space to the page. First to our section at the top, hover at the top where you see the blue bar, click, hold and drag. It's at 62 pixels and I'll drag it to around 120 pixels. Let go. Because I also want to link the bottom to the top, I can just click here on link. And now we have 120 pixels at the top and 120 pixels at the bottom. That was very easily done. I want more space between my button and this text here. I'll go here to the button module and I'll hover just outside until you see that gray line appears. It's not so easy to see here because the background is also dark, but there's a gray line that appears. Make sure it's not on the inside. It is on the outside. Click, hold and drag. And once it goes there, and now the problem is again a dark background, you cannot see the value there. What is that value? Cannot see it for my life. So what I'll do, I'll click on the button settings, design, spacing, and then padding tells me 101 pixels. Not bad. I want it on 75. So I'll just type in there 75 pixels. This is because of the background, not because of Divi, just one of those things that the UI and the UX will perform like this. Cannot blame anyone for that. The line though, if I go here to our divider, and now how do I find it? Is it the divider? Divider. There is too much space for me, this divider at the top and the bottom. So let's see design. If I go to spacing and I just want to make sure that my margins for both the top and the bottom, I'll link it, is 0. Let me type in the 0. Okay, so that brings it closer to the bottom. So that means that the margin we have for the text element is at the top. So I'll reset and then I'll only go to the top and type in a 0 for the top to make sure there's no margin at the top. Then I'll accept this. I go to this element, click on it, design, spacing, and then margin at the bottom, type in 0. And now you see it moves like that. So now I can grab this scrubby slider here. Let's drag it a little bit. Let's add around 15, 14, 10, I think 10 pixels. Nice job. Accept that. This brings us now to the part where we want to have this text line break to 2 and this paragraph a little bit more structured here to the left so we can achieve this effect. The first way I'm going to show you how to do this is to go to your row, this green one here. Go to the row all the way to the right. Where is it? And hover inside of the row till you see that thin green bar. This is your padding section, which is white space. Click, hold, and drag it in. And you're adding this padding. There's nothing wrong with what I'm doing here, and it's up to you if you want to use this method or not. Many people don't prefer it. It's often a little bit of a problem with the responsive display, and there are some quicker ways to do it. But I'm showing you this because look there. Ta-da! We achieved that effect we were after in no time. We just dragged that padding right in there and nobody stopped us. However, there is another way that you can do this, which is also better for responsive viewing, for when you go to tablets and different even screens on laptops and desktop devices. And that is to set a maximum width for the container. What we'll do here is we'll reset all of this. And to do that, I'll right click here on the bar and I will select this reset row styles. This will bring back the default settings of this row. And the only changes we've made is we've brought in that padding. So we expect once I click on this, that it will reset it. Let's click on reset row styles and we're back to this. The moment I say that, I think we should save our work. Click here in the bottom on save, or you can hit Ctrl+S, Command+S on your keyboard. Let's look at the other way. Go to the row, click on the settings, design, and go to sizing. And here we are going to work with either the width or maximum width. In our case, we're going to choose maximum width. Maximum width is a very important feature, especially on desktop devices, where you have some screens at 720 and then 1100 all the way to 1920 all the way to 4K. But you still want to make sure that the text remains within a certain box size. Doesn't matter how big those screens are. So what you do with maximum width is you limit this container width. And currently it is limited to 1080 pixels. This is the current maximum width of this row. If we grab the handle and we drag it to the right, you see I make it bigger. Now this is the maximum width. And what we'll do is click now, drag it all the way to the left, keep dragging until we get the same effect that we had previously done with the padding. Break it into those two lines. Let me just try a little bit here. Do we have a scrubber here? Why don't we have a scrubber here, Divi? I just want to go up one more line. Let's just type in there 600. Enough of this. Okay, 600. There we go. But now, if I close it, it's all in the middle. And remember, I want it aligned to the left. Go back to the row settings, design, sizing, and you will notice under the maximum width, we have row alignment. So you can decide, currently it's in the center, or do you want it on the right, all the way there, or do you want it on the left? Close it. And what? Wait, what? It happened. What? What's going on here now? So do I have to bring in padding now for my section? No. And this is why I went through that whole thing in the very, very beginning of why Divi gives you this full width and then the module, the full width header, and it works perfectly. You can align it to the left, right, and you still have that space on the left and the right. But the moment you do it in a row, you're going to run into this problem. Unless you want to bring in padding, which is definitely not what you want to do, this is not the solution. So I went through all of that because we all go down through that road, because in many page builders, the maximum width is going to work for you here. It's not going to work for you here. Click again here on the right and select on Reset Row Styles. Takes us back there. So we're not going to mess with the row. What we're going to do is we're going to mess with the modules. Exactly what we just did for the row, but instead for the module. Let's go to this heading, click on the module settings. Now you should know where we are going to go: design, sizing, and we look for maximum width. You remember we put it on 600 pixels. So type in 600, I think it's by default on pixels, same effect. And you don't even have to select to the left, it's already to the left, but you can put it in the middle of the row or to the right. This is how we're going to be doing it in Divi. And then say, okay. Now, how are we going to do this for the second one? Same procedure? Yes, but here comes the power secret tools of Divi. Underneath the surface, Divi has brought in some of the most amazing designer tools in the last 2 or 3 years, which I so badly wish other page builders had it as well. And you can really see, in my opinion, that Divi is highly focused on a designer aspect, sometimes miss a little bit on the developer side, but the designer part is very well implemented. So what am I talking about? Go to this one, the heading that we had, go to the module settings, go to design, sizing, and here where we set the maximum width. Hover over it with your cursor and right click. And it will say copy max width. Ooh, we can copy only this setting. This is super cool. Copy max width, accept, go back to our module here, hover over it, right click, and see over here, paste max width. Amazing. So it's going to apply 600 pixels max width because we copied it. It's just going to apply that setting, not everything. So we don't have to worry we're going to affect anything else. Paste that, and there we have it. Let's bring in our dividers. We've gone through this. Dividers is a section feature. So we go to the blue box, which is the section, go to design and select dividers here at the top. And then first we start with the top divider. We can choose from so many styles. Let's see. Oh, I like that one. Not bad. And again, my wish for all of the companies that give us these dividers, isn't there a way that you can have us bring in SVGs? I think Oxygen has done something still too complicated. I wish there was an easier way. I guess there must be some coding reason why it's not as simple as I wish it to be. Let's put in a divider at the top. And what I'll do, for the color, I'm going to go to Recent and choose this orange. And you see, now it's starting to look very businessy, right? We have a nice thing going there. And we can do the same for the bottom. Let's go to bottom and choose same divider or something different like so. Recent, change the color. Nice. And what I'll do, you can change here the divider height. Right, you see. And is it just me why my sliders stop and I have to keep dragging like so? You see, I click drag and it stopped. Click drag. Maybe it's my local host. It used to be very smooth. Maybe just me. And simple. There we go with our dividers. Great. Very different to the one that I've shown you here at the beginning. But I told you we're going to jazz it up a little bit. I'm not a big fan of dividers unless they have a purpose of flowing through the sections and want to bring a little bit of separation. Just be careful, don't throw in dividers there. That's going to be like party balloons and confuse people what's going on your page. Now we go and check for responsiveness. I'll select down here the tablet device. By default, it gives me this. The question is, do I want maybe my tablet to be a little bit narrower for these modules? Let's say yes. I'll click on the module, design, sizing, and make sure that when you go to maximum width, that your tablet is selected. I'll just tell you, make sure, don't take chances. And this time I'll put in 350 pixels. Good guess. But let's say I still want that text also to be a little bit smaller. Then I go back to my heading text. And remember, this is a heading 2. And if you're not sure, just hover over it and select the little pencil and it takes you directly into heading 2. Every time I want to say that, how cool is that? Heading 2 text, select here, and then let's put it on 20, maybe 20, 20, I was thinking 30. Nope, so we take it to 26, and 26 works. Great. Now we do the same for this one. I'll accept this. Let's go to this settings. I'll just click here on the little paintbrush. And this one's at 14. I'm going to leave it at 14. So let's close the text, go to sizing, and we can do the same. We can just copy the maximum width, but I will go here to the maximum width and just type it in, seeing that we are here, 350. Right. And the reason I'm doing this is because you and I both know that we're going to bring in an image later. So we want to create that effect. Then let's hop over and accept this, then go to mobile display. For this design, I'll keep everything from left to right. So I'm not going to bring in maximum width here or any padding, but I will reduce the size of this text. Go to the text. Remember, that's heading 2. And it's already there on mobile. And I'll put this on 20. Should go. That's right. And then for this paragraph, design text, because it's paragraph, text size, make sure you select the phone and type in 12. You hear me say this all the time. Make sure you select the phone, that little icon there. I've found that when you're in Divi, let's say text letter spacing, you are in the phone view and you will start making changes here thinking it will affect the phone view only. And then when you go back to desktop, often it has affected desktop as well. And you will see the difference between just changing it here and this one is that this little phone is selected in blue. This is an extra 1 or 2 steps you'll need to take, but it's going to save you a lot of frustration when you cannot figure out, but I was in mobile responsiveness. Why did it change it on desktop as well? Just remember that thing I told you very beginning, Divi has some dinosaur footprints that sometimes ripple into the future and drag you into the Jurassic Park. So you will get a few bumps here and there. But if you know how to work this product, you're going to be extremely happy with it. On this page, I've said it in the previous Reconstructed episode, I'll see it again. Here is something everyone can learn from Divi. And that is giving us the phone displays like so. giving us the option to change the settings here, not only for our horizontal display, but also vertical, because a lot of builders will only give us the horizontal, and you'll be creating this long thing. And then when you go view it on the device, it doesn't work. So if I click here, let's go to Galaxy S20, right? This is how it looks. Let's choose something else. Galaxy Huawei, right? No big changes here. Okay, this is iPad, iPhone Plus. You can see it gets a little bit shorter. I like that. Redmi. I like the default phone view. Nope, go back to, oh, there's no default. Where is it? Phone. Okay, so I'm going to put it back on Galaxy S20. Good enough for us. This is smart stuff. Accept this. Let's go back to desktop view. Let's save it. And now it's time to go check in our developers app. Does it actually look as good as we've convinced ourselves it to be? Grab the URL up here. This one, Control C, Command C to copy. And I'm going to open a developers app called Polypain. You can check out the link in the description below if you are interested in Polypain. We'll have some upcoming features and tutorials with the developer of Polypain, Killian, great guy. And then we'll work a little bit through what this can do for you if you are interested in something like this. I'll paste it, and let's just maximize the screen as well. And I've got an iPhone here, I've got an iPad 7th generation, and I've got an HD display over here. Let me see how I can increase the zoom. Tad. There we go. Nice. And this is what we see over here. You can see on an iPhone 12, the maximum height is 664 pixels. So this part in the bottom is cut off. Very important. And we have to go back and fix it. And this is where I will always complain about many tutorials online. They will show you, look here, it looks beautiful here. It's beautiful. Here's a golden star trophy for you. And they won't go and show you the reality that it actually does not display properly on the most popular devices out there. Because it's extra work. Now we have to think. So I've not actually tried it. Let's see your phone view. Here on the height, I'm going to type in, what was that? 664 pixels. 664. Let's see what happens. See this line here? Now this line tells us this is a problem. It's going to cut off. So what I'm going to do, my padding at the top and bottom is still linked. So let me just go into design, spacing, and over here, make sure it's selected. Remember, I almost started dragging there. Don't do that. Just go through this process and I will reduce both. Let's link them. And up to there. And of course, we could have put this on a full height section if we wanted to, but this is how we're going to be doing this. So let's accept that. And then I'll also just reduce a little bit of this padding of the button. Hover over the button. Outside, you see that 75 pixels. Click and drag it and reduce it a little bit to around 55. That looks much better. Let's save it. Locked in. Polypain. Refresh. Freshalicious. And there we see. Now there's even a little bit space at the bottom. With full height, we're going to be doing it very differently. Absolutely stunning. You could get paid for this. Indeed, you should. Let's go and create the image that we have over here, or the section with the image. Close this one. We go to desktop. Great. Let's duplicate this. Go to the section, blue bar, and click on these two little icons, or one icon with two littles. That gives us a duplication. And to add some space here between these two, because at the moment we cannot see anything, I'll go to the second one. Click here on settings, design, spacing. Go to margin top and bottom. I'll link it and I'll just type in 150 pixels. And that's going to give us white space at the top and white space of 150 pixels at the bottom. Hop over to content, background, and then for the color, I'll just delete this. Then image, add background image. I already brought this one in previously. Click on it and upload image. There we have it. Make sure that the image is rightly positioned. It's cover, that's how I prefer it. and background image position center. This is good. We leave it for there. The color system here is a little bit different. So I'll go to design. What I'll do is grab a darker color from the hair. Where is my color picker? Over here. Okay, shall we go for a complete brown? Here is a little bit of orange. Nope, let's try again. Over here, lighter. Okay, let's go for the lighter. I'll copy that, close that. And these are the dividers. So I'll click here, select it, and paste my new code. And that should change to brown. That's the top one. Looks a little bit not so exciting. Let's do the same for the bottom one. I'm not sure if I like it that much, but I think not bad. What I want you to also consider here is that you can actually reduce the opacity of the color. So if I grab the opacity slider here on the right and I reduce it, you will see even the color, the solid color that we have, goes a little bit and fades out, gives it a nice overlay effect. So I'm going to choose black just to do that. And we do the same with the top divider. Choose the black and then open it and drag the opacity slider down. Gives us that nice little effect over there. Change the button color. I'll drag a color here from her lips. Grab the color picker. Get a nice, let's say a darker one. There, ooh, I love this color. Think about painting my house this color or not. Except click on the button, button settings, design, button, and we change the color here. Paste it. And that's nice. Okay, select that. We've really done this one. Great service, except you and I know we cannot see the text here. How do we fix that? And with this, we bring in an overlay. And let's do that. Go to the section settings, background. Remember in Divi, you cannot bring in a solid overlay. By default, the only overlay you can bring in is a gradient. And it's going to work great for us because this is exactly how we need to create this effect. To do that, go to the second tab here, which is a background gradient. Click on it and it gives you a default one. We don't see it. You need to scroll down and here, place gradient above background image, activated. The little trick I'm going to show you here is put this one on black. And now we are going to first change the direction. We want the black to be here on the left and the green on the right. So let's change the direction. And I can already tell you actually by doing so that you can just type in here 90 degrees and that's going to give you the black on the left. Now what I'll do is I'll change the start position of the black. So if I grab this black start position and I drag it to the right, you see we are effectively squeezing the green to this side. That means that we have a nice harder transition here. All of our text comes out very clearly and our image here on the right will be uncovered. But you look at me, you roll your eyes and say, but it's not. So let's go back to our colors. Let's go back to the green one first. Click on the green, grab the transparency slider and drag it all the way to the bottom. This can be any color. It doesn't have to be green as long as it is fully transparent. And then click on the black and reduce the opacity to around 40. And that's how we achieve this. I still think it's a little bit dark here over a nose. So we go back to the start position and just drag start position a little bit more. Let me see there. That looks much better. Super duper. And maybe we can increase the gradient. There we go. I'm also going to grab the end position because I think, yeah. Let's drag the end position. You see up here is a representation in this thumbnail. With the end position, my problem was I transitioned it all the way to the right. So actually it's the end position we have to focus on. I guess we can just grab the start position. Okay, like so. There we go. Right, that's what we wanted. We can see our text very clearly here, except this blue is not working. Let's click on the first module. Go to design. Heading text, this is a H3. And then here, we're going to put it on white. We're done. Then we go to this one. We'll also change it to white. And if this was a global color, which we will focus on as well, this will be very easy. You just go and change one color. You don't have to go and change all of them. Even the line will update, the divider, all the text where you have it. But because we have done it this way, we have to go and change it manually. Okay. Great stuff about global colors. And then text here, which is a paragraph, put it on white. Ta-da! Right. Let's save it and go and view it on the front end to see if we need to make any changes, because our mobile device is definitely going to be challenging for this one. Polypain, let's refresh. Sharp, refresh, and scroll to see how this looks. So here you can see no problem on the desktop. Tablet, none, because we also did the maximum width. But here we have a problem. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work. All of this text here is going to give us a major problem. We cannot see it over her skin. And we don't have responsive control over the image placement. We can put in a different image, but I don't want to go that direction. That's just too much for me. So what we'll do is we'll bring some space here. We're going to set the maximum width for these guys. We know it's at 390, so we're going to put it around 280, see if that works. Go back into our builder, make sure we go into our mobile, and then from here, let's click on this text, module settings, design, and we go to sizing, and then make sure it's selected here in the blue, and then we say maximum width at 280, right? That's where I guessed it to be. That still seems to be too much, so let's put it down to 200. 200, 3 lines. I think we can live with 3 lines. Let's say OK. And then we go for this one. We do the same. Where are we? Spacing, sizing, maximum width, 200. And this is going to give us a lot of text. What I will do is let's reduce a little bit the line height here. So I'll go back to text, which is the paragraph, and then text line height. Remember to activate the little mobile, and then I'll put in 1.5 just to reduce a little bit of that. Let's say OK. Let me type in here 664 pixels again. There's the line. We are still within our safe area. Save that. Polypain. Refresh. Much better. Let's scroll down again to the bottom. And you see there's still a little bit of that text running over the nose. But this is not going to be an issue because we will be able to read it. And it looks good here. Yep, cannot complain. And there we go. I talked a lot about some of the limitations that you're going to run into Divi, especially if you're coming from other page builders. If you are completely new to page building and Divi is your first exercise and entry into this world, you're not going to find it annoying at all. It's just sometimes you have to be aware. You may see something done on another website. You try to do it in Divi and you're going to be limited by some of those things from the past. There are ways to fix it. And then, of course, you have to always understand the power of each page builder and what comes with it. But look, we created this. This is where we originally started with my original demo. Well, I think the one we did today is much, much better. Looks better, in my opinion. I would rather go for this one than the other one. I like the colors better, especially for this design up here. Great, that brings us to the end of Divi Reconstructed episode 2 here on Websites for Beginners. Hope you have a nice day. From me, JP. Take care, be safe.